I'm obsessed with black holes.
Me
Like
too.
supermassive black holes. Like
Fascinating.
this is my rabbit hole. Like no pun, but like literally, like the concept of them is so horrifying
Right.
that it like enables me to truly worship the Lord because
Yeah.
like that's what represents
It's
God's
bending
power to me.
space time right in front of you.
The fact that like literally you have something the size 66 billion times the size of our sun. I mean, the size of our city is not like it doesn't compute for us.
No.
Like the size of the planet for us, we can't really fathom.
We're like an ant and a
the
mole.
size of our sun in comparison to that,
Can't even imagine.
the size of a black hole that is 66 billion times that. So like
I just played the animation of.
so did I. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm playing it while you're talking right now.
Yeah. Well, I just
editing.
watched it on YouTube. Like what's it like to go into a black
Yeah.
hole? But I bring it up because like a black hole is well, it's a lot of things, but like let's take space. Like space is essentially an absence. It's like that's what a vacuum is. Like there's nothing.
Right.
Like nothing is an absence. And when you're in shattered, like when something's shattered, like I'm talking like a death of somebody who like I had that happen recently. My grandfather, who was incredibly close, who died a few weeks ago, and I'm still going
Sorry
through
about
it.
that. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like, but it's still not that level of pain. Like anybody who's gone through the type of pain that I'm trying to describe and like failing to quantify will understand this. Like it incapacitates you.
Right.
Like the idea of doing anything.
It's like you become like immovable.
Yeah. Like
paralyzed by it.
Yeah. So pain. It's less pain that generates great art. It's fire that does it. Like a passionate, like anger. Like so when I get angry,
right,
that's when I'm at my best. Like but like real pain. Like if you survive the pain,
you can turn that into.
Then when you are able to look back and like the pain will deepen you. Like as Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
The only way out is through. So,
yeah, man.
And that's what
That's a fact.
So when you're in the state of like pain and horror, though, especially as artists, we're always told like torture breeds it. No, it doesn't. Like it doesn't. Like I'm here to tell you, torture does not breed anything but you risk your own life and you drag your loved ones around you into pain, kicking and screaming against their wills.
Yeah.
Like. We as artists, like Beethoven's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the Romantic period, which is the period that after Beethoven, they were so in awe of the fact that he had gone deaf when he was 28, the fact that he had arthritis, the fact that he had all kinds of gastro problems, probably diverticulitis. He had mercury poisoning. Like this guy was he was under siege by every level of pain, that you can think of. And but the thing about Beethoven is like what he achieved in spite of the pain. So what makes Beethoven so great is the fact that this is the same man who said, "I will seize fate by the throat. Most assuredly, I will never let it get me down." That is, but the Romantic period,
deep right there.
Yeah, but the Romantic period celebrated the wrong thing. They're the ones who started glorifying the torture rather than the triumph over the torture. That is what Beethoven was all about. Was like defiance of pain.
Right.
He didn't want to be in pain.
Just being in pain doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
To defy pain
is
what shapes your where your ideology, your worldview, your strength, your like self-actualization, knowing my defects, right, and knowing what my strengths are too, and applying all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Boy, I do actually. That's big part of how I remain sober.
Yeah.
Is especially people that anyone out there listening that struggles with addiction or of any kind. It's on us to we have to be you'll hear it's said in AA being rigorously honest with us. The moment any level of dishonesty about myself creeps in, if I don't nip that right in the bud, like I have essentially relapsed. Like, the drinking is a symptom of that. That's just a byproduct. Like the relapse happens long before you drink.
Yeah.
I don't just wake up one day and something happens to me, like my grandfather dying, or God forbid,
Right.
my mother, or something, and just be like, oh great, well fuck, this, I'm drinking. That's not, how that happens. Like the relapse is like a slow, gradual destabilization of your own sense of being truthful with yourself. And then you just get to a point where you've compromised enough of your desire to remain sober. And then you go out and eventually do it. You wait for an excuse.
Yes,
so you can point to other
yes,
people and go, you see, this is why I went back out.
Yeah.
Look how destroyed I am.
Yeah. Feel bad for me.
So it's very insidious, but yes, the whole self-actualization thing that you said, like, there are certain people where that's very incumbent on them. It's like, diabetics, like, have a disease. They are responsible for taking their insulin.
Yeah.
And staying away from cake and, things like that.
Right. The decision making and actual doing stuff, like not just, you know what I'm saying, not just taking insulin, but you have to actually live it too.
I walked around hating people, for a long time that could drink. I went through this for a while, like this deep-seated resentment that they could drink and I couldn't. Well, that's like hating a person, that can eat cake if you're diabetic.
Same thing. Yeah.
And plus living, with that kind of, was it like I can drink. It's always Miller time. Look at this right here. Like, seriously, like, look what I'm sitting around. Like, it's always Miller time. You can always go back.
Yeah.
You can always go back out at any time that you want to. But the problem is, it's a myth that you can always come back.
Right.
You're lucky if you.
Very lucky.
Like, you're lucky if you even see a window whereby you can. Because we only want to get sober when we're high. I mean, that's just for everybody. Like, the idea that you're gonna want to stop drinking, like,
let's get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, like you're the idea that you'll want to stop drinking or stop using, is an absurd lie. When you think about it, like the best that we can hope for, as addicts is to wish that you could wish that you could stop. Like, nobody really wants to stop. You have to kind of be removed from it by somebody else or some other circumstance.
And you brought up the pain part. And sometimes for some people, I'm speaking on myself, for me, the pain had to be great enough for me to say, I didn't even want to go back to stuff I was in. So I've disclosed this already. So I don't know, some of you might not have heard this yet, but I too had struggled with addiction years ago. Went to prison for 18 months, went back to prison, went to Willard, went to Shock and all that. Rough, dude. I had a rough decade, about maybe a little more than a decade, with heroin, opiates. And people ask me how most people don't stop that, right?
No.
Most people don't just stop doing it.
No, most people die.
Yeah, you die or you keep going until, you die. That's really what it is. And for me, man, I was lucky to have, the pain was great enough. I hit bottom so many times. Hit bottom and then found another hole after the bottom.
You can keep digging.
Keep digging, right. What's the quote? When you hit bottom, you can still keep, what is this? Something about keep digging? I can't remember the quote.
Never really heard the quote.
There is a quote about that. Where
there
it's
is no bottom. The bottom is when you stop digging.
The bottom is when you stop digging. That's what the quote was. Your bottom is when you stop digging. So there is no bottom, like you just said. Thank you for that. Would have sounded horrible if I didn't clarify that. So that eventually I had to stop digging, man. Like where is this taking me? I'm back in prison again, back in the same spot. Lost my job again. Lost my education again. Kicked out of school again. Where am I going? And I had to sit there and sit in that pain and deal with it, like that stench. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, that was it. Eventually, I just had to stop and then surround myself with people. This was a big part of it, though. I'll say this is the biggest part. I actually had to look at the big picture and say, is this all about me? Like, there's got to be something greater than this. So I had to come to an understanding that there is something whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, fairies, whatever you want to call it, something created me. This universe, matter can't just make matter, or no,
it can't spontaneously arise.
Yeah. So something,
there has to be an origin.
There's a reason why I'm here, and I'm like, the piece of shit that I am. Why am I even here? So, I'll tell you the truth, man. I dug deep into spirituality, reading scripture from different religions, and just kind of finding common denominators in all those things, and realizing that, like you even talking about black holes. Eventually, the universe is all going to get brought into one black hole, and that's going to be the end of it. What's after that? Because all this information that we're talking to each other right now. We're getting memories from this. This is all data that's going to be stored somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like matter not being able to be destroyed, just repurposed or constituted. Like, yeah, the universe. I mean, we're talking about the universe, and the universe is a thing with boundaries. It's like that's like it is in fact expanding at the moment.
Right.
Like, how can something limitless expand? So
mind-blowing
what's beyond
concept.
the limits, and clearly, we're talking about it collapsing and sort of the end of time, which doesn't even exist in the first place.
Right.